Welcome to London in the 1650s, a city caught between two worlds. The English Civil War has just ended, King Charles III has been executed, and for the first time in 1,000 years, England has no monarch. Oliver Cromwell and his Puritan Commonwealth now rule, and the changes are everywhere. The theatres are shuttered, the maypoles torn down, and Christmas celebrations banned. But beneath this austere surface, London remains a bustling metropolis of nearly 400,000 souls, the largest city in England and one of Europe's great trading capitals. Today, we'll walk these streets as they were, through the smoke, the noise, and the religious fervour of a city reinventing itself. Our journey begins on the Thames, the lifeblood of London. The river teems with wherries, small boats that serve as the city's taxis, ferrying merchants, clerks, and common folk from bank to bank. There are no embankments yet. The river spreads wide and wild, its edges lined with stairs and wharves. Look there, London Bridge, the only bridge spanning the Thames. Built in the 12th century, it's more than just a crossing. It's a street unto itself, crowded with shops and houses that tower 4 and 5 stories high. The roadway is barely 12 feet wide, creating constant traffic jams of carts, horses and pedestrians. Above the southern gatehouse, you'd see a gruesome sight: the heads of executed traitors displayed on pikes, left to rot as a warning to all who enter the city. Beneath the bridge, the water rushes through 19 narrow arches with tremendous force. Shooting the rapids here is so dangerous that many Londoners prefer to disembark, walk around, and board another boat on the other side. London Bridge is for wise men to pass over and fools to pass under, goes the saying. Stepping off our wherry at Billingsgate, we enter the ancient city of London proper, still enclosed by Roman walls that have stood for over 1,500 years. The streets are narrow, sometimes barely 6 feet wide, and overhung with buildings that lean so far forward their upper stories nearly touch across the gap, blocking out the sky. There are no streetlights, no house numbers, and no proper sanitation. Chamber pots are emptied from windows with only a shouted warning of "Gardyloo!" The streets are unpaved dirt and refuse, mixed with the droppings of thousands of horses. In wet weather, they become rivers of mud. The smell is overwhelming, a mixture of human waste, rotting garbage, coal smoke, and the workshops of butchers and tanners. But there's energy here too. Every ground floor is a shop, and each trade has its own street. On Bread Street, bakers sell their loaves. Goldsmiths cluster on Cheapside, the city's main shopping district. Poulterers on Poultry, fishmongers near Billingsgate. Shop signs hang everywhere. Not words, but pictures. A striped pole for a barber, 3 golden balls for a pawnbroker, a white horse for an inn. Most Londoners cannot read, so symbols guide them. Street vendors cry their wares in a cacophony of sound. Hot pies, hot. Old chairs to mend, sweet lavender. Apprentices stand in doorways, calling to passers-by to examine their master's goods. Church bells ring constantly. There are more than 100 churches crammed into the square mile of the city, and their bells mark every hour of the day. Life under Cromwell's Puritan rule is decidedly more sombre than it was under the Stuarts. The Puritans believe in hard work, plain living, and strict observance of the Sabbath. On Sundays, everything stops. Shops close, taverns shut their doors, and any unnecessary work or travel is forbidden. Attending church is mandatory. Puritan soldiers patrol the streets, fining anyone found idling. The Puritans have banned many traditional entertainments. The great theatres of Shakespeare's day, the Globe, the Fortune, the Red Bull, stand empty and decaying. Bear-baiting and cockfighting are outlawed as sinful. Even Christmas has been abolished as a papist superstition. Parliament declares it a normal working day. Yet Londoners find ways to preserve their pleasures. Taverns remain the centre of social life, serving ale and wine alongside political gossip and news. Coffee is just beginning to arrive in England. The first coffee house will open in Oxford in 1650, and London will follow soon after. These will become hotbeds of intellectual discussion and political intrigue. Fashion too reflects the times. Gone are the elaborate ruffs and colourful silks of the Cavaliers. Men now wear dark, sober colours, black, brown and grey. Their hair is cut short in the Puritan style, earning them the nickname Roundheads. Women's dresses are similarly plain, with high necklines and long sleeves. Jewellery and makeup are considered vanities. At the heart of the city rises Old St Paul's Cathedral, a massive Gothic structure with a spire that once reached over 500 feet, the tallest in England until it was struck by lightning in 1561. Now spireless, the cathedral is falling into disrepair. The Puritans have little love for grand churches, seeing them as monuments to Catholic excess. The cathedral's interior reflects this attitude. Puritan soldiers have smashed the stained glass windows and defaced the statues they call idols. The nave, once a sacred space, has become a public thoroughfare, a shortcut through the city where merchants make deals and lawyers meet clients. Known as Paul's Walk, the aisle buzzes with secular business. Beggars sleep in the corners, and children use the space as a playground. Just outside St Paul's stretches Cheapside, the premier shopping street. Here, the wealthiest merchants display imported luxuries: silk from Italy, spices from the East Indies, sugar from the Caribbean colonies. These exotic goods speak to London's growing reach across the globe. English ships are challenging Dutch and Spanish dominance, establishing trading posts in India, the Caribbean, and North America. At the eastern end of Cheapside stands the Royal Exchange, built in 1571 as England's answer to the great trading houses of Antwerp. Though it bears the word royal, it continues to function under the Commonwealth as the centre of commercial activity. Merchants gather in its courtyard to trade commodities, negotiate contracts, and exchange news from abroad. Walking east toward the Tower of London, we pass through increasingly working-class neighbourhoods. Here live the porters, sailors, and craftsmen who keep the city running. The streets grow more crowded and the buildings more cramped. The tower itself, that ancient fortress built by William the Conqueror, serves multiple purposes. It's a prison for political enemies of the Commonwealth, royalist sympathisers, and anyone suspected of plotting against Cromwell. It's also an armoury, housing weapons and gunpowder, and it still contains the Royal Mint, where England's coins are struck. Beyond the tower walls, the dockyards of Wapping and Limehouse stretch along the river. Here, ocean-going vessels load and unload cargo from around the world: timber from the Baltic, wine from France, when relations permit, tobacco from Virginia, sugar from Barbados. The expansion of England's colonial ambitions means increasing wealth flows through London's port. This is also where you'll find London's small but growing population of foreigners and minorities. French Huguenots, Protestant refugees fleeing Catholic persecution, have established communities here, bringing skills in silk weaving and silversmithing. There's a tiny community of Jews as well, though officially they've been banned from England since 1290. In practice, a small number of Sephardic Jews from Spain and Portugal live and worship quietly in London, anticipating the formal readmission that Cromwell will grant in 1656. Travelling west along the Thames, past the grand houses of the Strand, we reach Westminster, technically a separate city from London, though increasingly connected. Here sits Westminster Abbey, the ancient coronation church of English kings, now stripped of much of its ceremony under Puritan rule. Nearby, the Palace of Westminster houses Parliament, the true seat of power in this Commonwealth. The House of Commons meets in St Stephen's Chapel, while the House of Lords, drastically reduced in influence, occupies another chamber. This is unprecedented. England governed without a king, with power vested in Parliament and enforced by Cromwell's new model army. Whitehall Palace, once the primary residence of Charles III, is now Cromwell's headquarters, though he refuses to live in the king's apartments, preferring more modest quarters. The great banqueting house, designed by Inigo Jones, still stands, its windows looking out onto the very scaffold where Charles III was beheaded in January 1649, an event that shocked all of Europe. Beyond the cities of London and Westminster lie villages and fields. Southwark, across London Bridge, is technically outside the city's jurisdiction, and has long been home to activities the city fathers would rather not see. Theatres, now closed, brothels, technically illegal but tolerated, and bear gardens. To the north, villages like Islington and Hampstead are country retreats where wealthy merchants have begun building estates, seeking escape from the city's crowds and disease. To the west, Hyde Park and St James's Park offer green spaces, though they're far more rustic than the manicured gardens they'll become. The fields surrounding London feed the city. Market gardens in areas like Holborn and Spitalfields provide vegetables, while cattle are driven in from the countryside to the meat markets at Smithfield. But London is growing. The population has nearly doubled in the past 50 years, and suburban development is beginning to spread beyond the old boundaries. London in the 1650s is a city of contradictions, ancient yet changing, powerful yet plague-ridden, austere yet ambitious. The Commonwealth experiment will last only a few more years. In 1660, the monarchy will be restored under Charles II, and many of the Puritan restrictions will be lifted. But tragedy lies ahead. In 1665, the Great Plague will kill perhaps 100,000 Londoners, a quarter of the population. In 1666, the Great Fire will destroy most of the medieval city we've walked through today, including Old St Paul's. From those ashes will rise a new London, rebuilt in brick and stone, with wider streets and Christopher Wren's magnificent new cathedral. But that's a story for another time. For now, we leave London in its Puritan moment, a city paused between its medieval past and its imperial future. Thank you for joining us on this tour through history.